Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the Field and Garden Podcast. It is your friend and host, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and thanks for dropping in. And I've got a good one for you today. For all of you budding, beginner, seasoned flower farmers, we are going to take a walk inside of kind of what it could look like for folks that have made flower farming their life. And so before we jump in, if you're new here, my name, I've already shared is Lisa, but you'll find out more about me and the work that we're doing at thegardenersworkshop.com. We're an online garden shop, an online virtual learning center, and we have a lot of resources for you over there as well as online courses. And I am joined here today by a seasoned couple, Steve and Gretel Adams of Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it is my pleasure to have you guys here. And, I think you guys are, not only, first off, I think you're pretty much rock stars. You've joined that league right up there with Pamela and Frank Arnowski and lots of other people. But the volume that you do is what puts you, what that says to me is I know that not everybody aspires to have that voluminous list of life, but that just means y'all are packed with experience and wisdom. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. I want to talk about this flower farming life that Steve and Gretel, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll hear anything they have to share with us. And, I would like to hear first kind of how y'all got started. That little journey I know that y'all took, kind of finding your niche of what was your farm going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When we started, the intention for the first year was to kind of live off the land, raise our own animals, raise our own food, grow flowers and take them to the farmer's market. So we had the goal of just being farmers market farmers and trying to keep our costs down as much as possible. Weren't driving nice cars, anything like that, eating rice and beans, just trying to live pretty minimally. After a couple of years, we realized we did need to make more money. So we kind of stepped up everything, scaled up the vegetables and the flowers to just about 2.5 acres at that point, give or take.
Yeah, and we had to put up a couple of greenhouses, and I think we just realized, we're first generation farmers, so we started with no infrastructure here. And I think that we just realized if we wanted this to be our lives, if we wanted this to be the only income, that we needed to get serious about it and sort of focus what we were doing. So each year we sort of dropped enterprises. We started out as Sunny Meadows Flower Farm, so we kind of set ourselves up to be flower farmers, but we were growing salad greens in the greenhouses, like Elliott Coleman style in the winter to help supplement. I was substitute teaching. We were making soap, we kind of were doing all of the things. And then I think year 5, we hired full-time, was our first full-time employee. In year 7, we dropped vegetables and everything to be 100% flowers. So which was a hard decision because we liked going into restaurants and seeing our food in there, and the local food movement at that point was growing, but we decided that we needed to focus, and that really changed the trajectory of the business, I think, because having that energy focused on just that one thing. And we were still we were at farmers markets at that point. We were selling to florists, we were making grocery store bouquets. So it was we're still doing multiple different things within that one, within flowers, but
the flower business just kept growing faster and faster than the vegetable business. Deep down, we wanted the vegetables to kind of overtake the flowers, but the demand for the flowers was just growing so much that we kind of just made the decision to focus on one type of crop. I'll be that many different flowers, but one type of crop, and put our energy in, and it's easier to sell one type of thing. It's hard to make sales calls to a florist and then sales calls to a restaurant. That would be kind of challenging. And some people have figured it out really well. But for us, we like to stay focused on something and put our energy into that.
Yeah, business is ever changing, as far as sales outlets and stuff too.
I think it's just so reassuring for people to hear the struggle is real about wanting to have your fingers in so many different areas, which, I agree with you, Steve. There are people that have done it, but if you talk to them, not many people get onto the other side of doing it that way because it's so difficult. I mean, from what you harvest with, the vehicle you have to carry, I mean, everything is so different for each market that finding your niche, whatever that is, and focusing on it is the easiest way, the fastest way to find success, I think.
I would say that if you were to talk to any farmer that, let's say, did vegetables and flowers, and then they'd stop doing one of them and focus on one, I wouldn't imagine there'd be anybody that regretted making that decision to just focus on one crop.
Especially if you're really in this for business, the business means a bottom line. You have to, it's not about what you want to do necessarily. Yeah. You have to kind of clean that up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And flowers are a lot easier to do in smaller spaces. If you don't have a lot of land.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So you already mentioned that you made your first hire in year 5 and 7. My next thing was going to say, so how did you, the buzzword nowadays is scale, better known as how'd you grow your business? How did you grow more, make more? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, well, I think that, we had in the past had been kind of like paying friends under the table some cash to help a couple of days a week or something like that. And when we decided that we wanted employees, it was like, okay, now we need to be organized enough so that somebody is busy 40 hours a week. And our job became about like kind of preparing the task at hand and sort of like getting ready for whatever is coming up next so that the transition was smooth. And so I think that having that employees really did kind of kick it into gear for us. There's also a book called by Richard Wiswall called The Organic Farmer's Business Handbook. And he talks a lot about inputs and outputs and really tracking, how much does it cost you to plant that flat in the greenhouse, and how much does it cost you to drive your vehicle to the farmer's market, and really think about things in that way. And I think that that's kind of when we were okay, we need to focus, and then with that focus became more efficient systems. So we say efficiency is a mindset, so trying to think about what else can we do to make this better, make it more make it easier work on our bodies, whether that's we used to wheel hoe, and then we bought a farm all that was a cultivating tractor that would go through and do what the wheel hoe used to do. So always being open to thinking about systems and sort of how we can make it better.
And I also think, we do a budget and we look at our finances regularly. And I think that having a built-in 5-10% increase in sales every year was our goal. And so, just assuming that we're going to be more efficient at doing this job and we're going to charge a little bit more for it, there's our 5 or 10%, and so we were able to, in some years, grow 25-30%.
And that's also refining crop selection and kind of knowing what's going on with trends. Hey, I think we could sell more of that. And that's kind of how the business had grown, sort of I guess, organically, in a way where it just is hey, I think that we could sell more ranunculus. Does that mean we put up another tunnel? And so I think that at first it was sort of driven in that way, where it was the demand is here and we want to fill that demand. And then once we had a team, it kind of just, the season extension became more about winter hours for better employee retention. And so now it's like, the greenhouses, yes, we can produce more in the winter, or, in the spring, because now it's the end of March and like flowers are blooming in the heated spaces. But that's also is designed that way. So that way there is income happening right now. And so we can be fully staffed like right now in March, whereas before we may have to like lay more people off in the winter, which meant more people that were seasonal, and which meant there weren't as many people that returned. So like, the focus changed to it not just being about us, and to it about being about the team and like them, making a living wage and being able to like support their families and stuff. So the business now I feel like grows sort of in that way, where it's like, we know that we could probably sell more of something, but it's like, it's more for like, we're buying equipment to make things more efficient. So that way, like it's more sustainable for our bodies long-term. And focused on just like trying to have as many winter hours for people as possible to keep good people around.
To balance out the sales between winter and summer, because summer can be grueling, and so if we can, and winter can be grueling too, like that work, but it's different. And so if
scraping ice off of houses.
Yeah. All that stuff, just walking through the snow to harvest or ice, and so, but balancing out those sales during the different times of the year, I think is important.
And that's how the dahlia tuber sales started too, was like a way for us to, when we quit growing vegetables and we quit having a CSA where winter money was like coming in.
That's when we started.
The dahlia tubers became, a way to make money in the winter to help support the cash flow.
You mentioned the Organic Farmers Business Book. I remember back when you guys were doing that, when you were doing the enterprise budgets, because you talked about them at conferences and stuff. And, I feel like this is just such a great flash to so many growers and budding growers that this is a business. It is so easy that people get so intoxicated with the flower part and the flower growing part, they forget about the business part, right? And y'all have done such a great job about digging into that part of really, it's this is your full-time jobs and life, right? This is what earns your money, your careers. So that's really good. And I will put a link down below with the name of that book. So how was it for you guys? I think y'all started kind of early, but how was it delegating? Was it hard to give up doing jobs yourself and delegating it and managing people? How did that kind of, people are saying, I'm so afraid to hire my first person. I think the real thing we're afraid of is paying the first person. It's not afraid of hiring them. It's having the money to pay the payroll, right? What was that all like?
I think, and the pressure of like, then someone relies on you to tell them what to do.
I don't think people think about that until the day one. Or pre-day one, paying the person is definitely the first fear. And then once you get over that hurdle and you hire somebody, then you're like, oh man, I gotta keep this person busy. Usually when you start, it's 2 days a week, let's say, but that's 14 hours. You got to keep somebody.
Forces you to be a bit more organized.
I think work. That's what I do. That's my job. Is I manage the field crew at Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. That's my job, is making sure that everybody is set up with all the resources they need to properly complete their task. And that is 90% of the work that I do. And I'm okay with that because I see a lot of things happen, and so.
But it feels different, though. Like, you're not checking stuff off of your list. Like right now, so we've got, at this point, we'll have like 20 employees this season. And so that's a lot of people to orchestrate. So, it took us a long time to get to that point. but it's like, that's what I call myself, the orchestrator, because it's like I'm mainly just like making sure that other people are accomplishing things, and that feels really different. And that's something that, like, you know, we've got a harvest manager in the field, and you know, she's like, well, sometimes I don't feel like I'm harvesting very much, and she's the fastest like harvester, but it's like her job is to go out, you know, and that used to be me. Steve and I used to be harvesting every day. And it took some time to sort of like transition like out of that. But yeah, I mean, you learn a lot about yourself as a leader. And like in the winter, you know, we used to read books about like farming stuff. And then it kind of became, the winter was about reading stuff about work culture and leadership, and like how to have hard conversations with employees, and like hiring and firing. We consulted with other farmers too, like when we've had issues with folks. So yeah, it's been a learning process, and there is no like right answer. I think that's like, you'll find out, that's when people ask us about scale, they're like, how did you, yeah, that's a lot of people. And it's like, we never thought we would be at this scale either. It sort of has like grown into this.
But somebody has to do that to make Ohio flowers a thing. Somebody has to be at scale in Ohio.
It's true. I mean, it's true. It's not every, and I will say that I feel like, as you know, the person that sees all the people taking all these different online farming business online courses from us, I would say that the percentage of people that are thinking they want to do what y'all do is the smallest number. Most people want to do it. One spouse is doing that. It's added income to the family. It's not the main source of income most commonly. But the wealth of information and experience that you bring, because you are that person, and you're doing it so well. I mean, y'all, 20 people. I thought, I mean, I have 16, not on a farm, on Gardener's Workshop business. That's a lot to coordinate. It's a lot to stay ahead of that many people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then going back to the delegation question, I kind of sometimes feel like I'm an over delegator a little bit. And I can get into that's a whole nother conversation, I think, but
you mean like micromanaging?
No, I don't micromanage. Okay. I mean, like,
he's really good at delegating. He was good at like letting go. I mean, that's,
well, some things, yeah, but I'm also good at, I'll be like, oh, this needs put away. I'll have so-and-so put this, you know, and when I could very well just go put that away. And
I understand.
You know, it's just, I sometimes feel lazy, like all I'm doing is just overly delegating.
No, that's your job. That's your job.
Your time is spent doing something more valuable. And that's, I think, what's hard for people to understand is like, of course, you are the one who established the system. You are going to be the fastest bouquet maker or the fastest harvester or whatever. And so it's hard to like let that go when you're training other people to do it and they're slower than you. But the idea is like your time is better spent on like big picture things. And for Steve, he has a futuristic mind and he thinks in systems. So it's like, it's more valuable for the business, for his brain to be thinking about those things than it is for him to be like weeding the larkspur, you know? And so did all those jobs. And so it's like, sometimes when people are like, oh, we got to like do this all day. And we're like, yeah, it used to just be the two of us that did everything all day. Like, we get it. We've been through all of that. We've harvested with a headlamp at 9 p.m. for market the next day. Like, you know, we've done all of that since we started from scratch.
Yeah, I think, and that was my point too, is we started on a quarter acre for the first year, half acre the second year, 2 acres the third year, or whatever, you know, and so we've grown at all the scales since we built the farm from scratch. And so we know and still utilize, if it worked on a quarter acre and it worked well, it's still working now on 25 acres, you know, and so we've been at all the different scales. So hopefully we can help those small growers as well by giving them information, even if our scale isn't as relatable. We've still been there and done that.
And it's
Um,
all the same skeleton, right? And
yeah.
I think the benefit of learning, particularly when you're a newbie, that 50% of the game in my mind is mindset. I mean, and I tell you what my business coach would have said about that. She said, you got to put your CEO hat on, which is so hard for most people. We're the rainmakers. When you're the business owner and you're scale and building your business, all those jobs that you just mentioned are essential. They are what make the business roll forward, but you don't have to do them. There's other people that can. And I mean, Steve being the forward thinker, I mean, that's the goal of the business owner, right? To free yourself to have that time to do that. That's awesome.
And not be limited to having to do that at 8 o'clock at night, when
Exactly.
at the end of the day after dinner or something, and setting aside time.
And I think that was the biggest thing for us, like having employees, like when people are like, isn't it so scary? And it's like, the value for us, it was a quality of life investment of like knowing that we're not going to be out there until 9 p.m. with headlamps harvesting. And it's like, it's worth it to have other people help us with these things so that we can actually have a life like outside of farming. Farming is isolating. And if you're doing it all yourself, it can be really overwhelming and you have no time to like make dinner and get a good night's sleep or whatever. You're waking up early to try and get stuff done before people come in or whatever. So it was just like having people, we realized like it was worth the investment to have more people so that we could all get done at a regular hour and, enjoy this life that we've built.
Is that not the key? That could be the whole package. What is the point of us doing what we love if we don't have time for a life doing it?
Yeah.
Right?
I still question whether or not I have much time after work to do the other stuff. I'm tired a lot of times.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're still like the life balance thing. I feel like if for a farmer is different. Someone told us integration was the key, where it's like, yeah, but it's, or if you enjoy or if peonies are blooming and you have to go out and pick on Sunday, sometimes you have to go out and pick on Sunday. So it's like, we try to be very particular about, the farm stand is closed on Sunday. There's no employees here. That's our one day to like have nobody on the farm and to have it to ourselves. But when it's tulip time or it's peony season or there's the lilies explode in the greenhouse, then people are here and we're out there working. So like, it still happens. Have those late nights that we're getting stuff done before the rain comes in. Or
there's 5 busy seasons where we might work on a Sunday or extra is tulip harvest, peony harvest, dahlia planting, dahlia digging, and actually there's 4. So those are the 2 seasons where 4 times of the year that we might need to work a little extra.
Steve, when you said you don't have time, you still like you don't still have time. And something you said a few minutes ago, I used to always say the things that I felt like weren't farm work, like, harvesting, planting, that kind of stuff. That stuff I was really good about doing it Monday through Friday, between work hours, no problem.
Yeah.
It's all the other stuff I would say, my team would say something like, you need to do a blog or you need to do this or do a podcast with Steve and Gretel or whatever. I would always say, oh, well, I'll do that on Saturday. Yeah, I could do that Sunday afternoon. And it's like I was pushing the margins. I don't do that anymore. I don't do anything on the weekends anymore, unless it's really a special something. So it's a lifelong battle to fight for your time, and
you might have had to hire somebody extra so that you didn't have to do that on Saturday and Sunday to take care of some of that week work. Because, if I know that I've got 5 days with the crew, I've got a list of 150 things. The other challenging thing is prioritizing that list, and that list being dictated by the weather. And so it's so hard. The weather has number 1 control. And so if I've got a list of 25 things I want to do when it's dry and 100 things I want to do when it's wet, or other way around usually, but it's hard to be like, oh, it's going to rain on Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we need to do this stuff. So they need to do outside stuff on Monday, or it's a challenge. And yeah, it's a challenge.
It's not for people that are weak at heart. There is no question about that. I mean,
Yeah.
and the control freak people, which I was a bit of a control nut back in the beginning, it'll wear you down.
Yeah.
I mean, you
It'll wear
have,
everybody
oh
down.
my,
Yeah.
what is worse than rain on a harvest day out in the field? Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
my staff hated it because I was a wild woman when that happened.
Yeah.
You know, I was just crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are days where we're out there, you know, you just gear up and you're out
Yeah.
there. It's a big harvest day. And honestly, those are some of the things that I like enjoy about farming, is those like things that are really hard that you did. And then afterwards, you're kind of like, I did that thing and it was really hard and we like nailed it,
And
you know?
You
And
like it when there's a team. You when the whole team like
yeah. Like if
goes
we're
out.
all out there covered in mud, digging dahlias, and it's raining and we got to get them out because it's going to freeze tonight or whatever. It's like, that's when it's the hardest, but that's also like
The brightest light at the end. Yeah.
yeah. And also all the team is there and you're all in it together. And like, if it's pouring down rain and you're harvesting, it's like, sometimes it just is like,
Funny.
yeah, it's just fun. You just like have to like let go. And then you're just like, this is a ridiculous situation that I'm in, but this is like what has to happen. And yeah. And so like some of those things are what I actually like, what I enjoy, just because it is a challenge and you push yourself. And I think that's the thing with farming, is that you have to want to continue to like grow as a person, continue to push yourself through like the challenges. And so it does take a certain kind of personality. I mean, we say on the farm, like people find out whether or not they want to farm when like they work here, because it is like, you know, it is a lot. We crank through a lot of volume here. There's like big harvest days, you know, and that's fine. If you learn that about yourself, that that's not what you want to do, you know, fulfill your commitment for the season. And then you can take this experience with you into your other like walks of life. But similar of like, you know, working at a restaurant where it's like you're on your feet all day. It is like a fast-paced environment, but there are still transferable skills, even if you decide that you don't want to farm.
Or want to farm on a different scale, or that, you know, grow
Right.
veggies or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, farming is for hustlers. That's for sure what I have learned. And restaurant workers, by the way, are some of the best workers because they have to hustle too, right?
Yep.
So
And they're used to it being crunch time and having to like, you know, stay until like, if you work till close, it's not like a specific time. So it's like, you know, similar in that way where it's like the goal is 4:30, but if we have a huge bouquet day and we need to stay until 5 in order to accomplish the thing that goes out in the morning, like, you know, then the whole team will like do it together. And so like you're kind of, you know, here till close basically. But there's a lot.
So you guys really have built a great foundation and system with your employees on time. I mean, I always knew you were awesome growers. I mean, I see that evidence over and over, and I've heard it in conferences and classes, but it's coming really clear to me too, that there's as much brain power and work and wisdom and experience in the culture of your business. That is, you know, hats off to you. That's really pretty dadgum awesome. So, we'll wrap it up with this one last question, and then I want you to tell people about your online course, which is about growing cut flower crops in hoops and greenhouses. But what's in the future for Sunny Meadows and Steve and Gretel? What do you see in 10 years maybe? Or do you?
We do. It depends on land access. You know, land access is going to be definitely the limiting factor in the future of Sunny Meadows. As far as scale, we're always looking for land around here. It's just hard to find and expensive, and
Columbus is growing.
Yeah. But we are in the process of taking over a field and putting it into cut woody production. So shrubs, trees, stuff that we can cut apart.
Hydrangeas, 9-bark viburnums, those kinds of things.
And
so
stuff that we can plant now. I've been working on systems for field prep and cultivation over at the other farm. And so this will be our third location. So that's exciting. And then, you know, I'm always looking for land to put up more greenhouses. We're limited on greenhouse space. The whole farm that we own either has a greenhouse, a parking lot, or a barn on it at this point.
Or
And
perennials.
or
There's
some
like hydrangea
perennials,
patches.
not
and
much,
stuff,
but yeah. And so, you know, I think more greenhouses. I think pushing the Ohio flowers further and making it a thing. Getting out to as many florists as we can, while still trying to build the whole, you know, U.S. grown
domestic flower industry.
domestic flower industry.
Right.
I would say. And so I think
That's the goal. I mean, this year we dropped weddings, and last year, or you know, a couple years ago during COVID, we dropped farmers markets, and then we didn't go back. So florists have become the focus, and so I think just really like growing that program, having florists, and we've got retail, we've got a farm stand here, and we ship retail also, but the florists have definitely become the number one priority as far as sales go. Yeah, so we're always like trying to keep up with what are the trends that are coming in, what are the flowers that they want that aren't available, you know, so like we're always planting more hellebores, and that's why we're growing stuff with the Woody farm. The goal is at some point maybe we're growing less summer annuals, and getting more production off of these perennials, and the perennials are expensive to invest in up front, you know, so it took some time for us to have the capital to be able to buy all these plants,
and this Woody,
or time to learn how to propagate them, you know. Some of them we've propagated ourselves, but it took 5 times of us trying to propagate, you know, these viburnums or whatever before enough of them worked that we had to like had a bed space to plant or whatever.
This Woody farm that we're doing has been something we've been thinking about for at least 5 years, and kind of planning out more than we've thought about anything that we do here on the farm. We plan this out so much, and so running trials and different things, like she said, building up our plant stock, talking to different people, getting resources, and I'm still super nervous, even though we've done all this stuff. I'm still super nervous about it because it's a new farm, a whole new location. We'll be watering out of the creek instead of watering from a well, so there's just a lot of different things,
new systems to set up.
Yeah.
But the goal being, you know, right now the greenhouses are on the home farm, and then the rented farm is about 10 minutes away. That's where a lot of our summer annual production is. And so this third place will be also another rented plot, like with a contract, you know, so that we can put some woody perennials in that field and feel comfortable about it being a long-term goal.
So getting scared doesn't go away with
No.
No, it changes.
We just take bigger jumps, right, Steve? I mean, you just get bigger bigger leaps. That's what I'm finding.
Yeah, I mean, the barn that we just built that last year that has the office in it, that's like our shop space and employee lunchroom and dried flower area. It's like that is something that we've wanted for a long time. Before that, the office was in the spare bedroom of our house, and we had 5 people in it. And like that was the most expensive thing we've ever bought, you know, like more expensive than our house that we live in. And so it's like, yeah, the risks get bigger, but you also like learn to trust your gut, and you also have numbers to sort of like back up those decisions, you know, where we're like, okay, like sold through all the hydrangeas, so it's like we obviously need to like plant more because we could, you know. And so yeah, you gain a little bit more confidence as you like have experience, but it still is scary. I wish that somebody would have told me that when we started. Like I thought we'd get to a point where it wouldn't be scary. Everything would just be easy. I don't know.
Hunky dory.
Yeah. We had that expectation, I think.
Yeah.
But
everybody does.
I'm okay getting scared and being scared, and
you trust yourself because made those, you've taken those risks and like succeeded. And so you start to like, you trust your gut of like, I know that this is a good decision.
I'm scared that it's not going to work, but I'm 75% responsible for it working, you know? And so I trust that I'll do whatever I can do to make it work.
You know, I forget who said it, but, you know, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt or somebody that said, you know, we should all be a little scared every day. If you're not, you're kind of vegetating. You're not trying new things. You're not thinking ahead. And yeah, so that's me. If I'm just too comfortable, that means I'm probably doing the same old stuff, and you know, it's going to get old soon. So
Agreed.
Thank you guys so much for kind of giving us a look inside Sunny Meadows Flower Farm. That is several gems in there. That is really so very.
We talked about
Tell us a little bit about, so, you know, we're really honored here at the Gardener's Workshop to publish Steve and Gretel's online course, Growing Cut Flower Crops in Hoop and Greenhouses. I'm sure I just killed that name.
That's a long name.
So tell us about the course and just the details, friends. We will, you can find everything over on our website, and I'll have links down below. But Gretel, just share with them what they might expect to learn in that course.
Yeah, so it's a 6-week course, and we go over a lot of different topics. So week 1 is about the types of structures, location, construction, deconstruction of a used house, kind of your options in that way. Week 2 is about crop planning and decision making. So making sure that you've got, you know, the most high dollar crops in your greenhouse, since it's the most expensive real estate. Week 3 is about spring crops. So that's what everyone wants to learn about: ranunculus, anemones, stock, snaps. And we go over all of our like planting weeks for the different successions that we grow, heated and unheated. So you can kind of like gauge, you know, if you're just starting, we say like, these are the ones to start with. And then if you're a more advanced grower, then kind of like, these are the next step. Week 4 is about summer crops. So summer into fall, lizzies, mums, flowering cabbage, dahlias, those kinds of things, taking us into Thanksgiving flowers. Week 5 is about greenhouse management. So it's ventilation, sanitation, those kinds of things that we've learned to give the plants the best environment. And then week 6 is about pests and diseases and soil health. So a lot of things that we've learned through mistakes, learned by doing. So trying to give you guys a resource to hopefully jumpstart your growing practices.
Sure. So thank you, Gretel, for that. So the official name of the course, since I killed it before, is Growing Cut Flower Crops in Hoop and Greenhouses. And it only enrolls once a year, and that's in November. And then the class actually runs in January and February. And if you're not familiar with our online courses, once you purchase one of our courses, you own it for life, meaning you can log in to rewatch stuff over and over, revisit. You know, you're a newbie today, but guess what? In 2 years, and you're now facing that problem you heard about in the course, but you didn't pay any attention, you go back in and it's there. So you can learn more about it over at thegardenersworkshop.com. The link's down below in the show notes. You can get on their wait list, which means whenever Steve and Gretel make up any resources that they want to send out to folks to kind of give you a forecast of kind of what their teaching style is and what they're doing, you will automatically receive that. And so thank you guys again for taking time. I know the farm is already pumping out blooms, and I appreciate you taking some time to share with us about this flower farm and life we all dream about.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us.
All right, friends, until we meet again, ciao.
Bye.